We just landed in the city of Chengdu after an 11-hour flight from the city of Mohe, which is the northernmost point of China. And I don't know about you, but to me it seems absolutely crazy that after flying for 11 hours we still haven't left this country. The thing is, Mohe is a city that isn't as well connected as Beijing or Shanghai, so we can't get directly to Shenzhen, which is where we actually live. But that comes with its advantages. Chengdu is a really important tourist destination because of its historical and cultural heritage. It's also home to the legendary giant panda, and in my opinion, it has the best cuisine in the country, and it's rumored to be the spiciest. So let's take advantage of this stop to show you one more city before the year ends. Welcome to the city of Chengdu. There's a very famous, very viral buzz on the internet about a tourist attraction that's a kind of fountain shaped like bamboo and it lights up at night. It's truly spectacular and it's the last destination we're going to visit today, but stay for the whole video because the rest of the places are also amazing. Our first stop today is none other than the Chengdu Giant Panda Reserve. This is a place that put Chengdu in the big leagues of tourism. It went from being a tourist city to being a major tourist destination. And it's no wonder. For many years, this was one of the few places in the world where you could actually see an animal of this species. And that's because the giant panda was classified as an endangered species for years. Today, thanks to the efforts of this place and many other reserves, the number of individuals worldwide has increased. That's why the giant panda is now considered a vulnerable species instead of an endangered one. But anyway, enough explanations. Let's start exploring this place now because it's huge. As I said, it's a reserve, not a zoo. It's a center dedicated to the preservation, breeding and care of this animal as well as education about this species, and that's why this enclosure is built in a kind of forest where the main food of this animal, which is bamboo, grows naturally. I'm very happy to be able to be here before the end of the year because Chengdu is a place we couldn't include in the 88 Days series. It's a place that already attracts a lot of tourism on its own. We wanted to give attention and prominence to other cities that maybe you don't know or haven't heard of. But without a doubt, it's a place that's really worth visiting. Here we have a very famous statue, the Golden Panda, where Max had his picture taken when he was little. And that's because Max's dad is a huge fan of pandas. I remember when we came at the beginning of the year, he told us an impressive amount of information. The vulnerability of this species today, and the reason why it was endangered for a long time, was caused by several reasons. The destruction of their ecosystem made it harder for them to find their main food source because these animals basically eat bamboo and that's it. You can see here in front of us we are completely surrounded by bamboo. Chengdu is an area where this plant grows naturally and very abundantly, and that's why this reserve is also here. But another reason why the giant panda ended up being an endangered species is that they are very difficult to breed. Female pandas are usually fertile only 2 to 3 days a year. That obviously greatly limits the opportunities for a female to become pregnant and thus help preserve the species. In addition to that, pandas tend to be animals that live very isolated lives, and that reduces their chances of mating. And the third problem is that you've probably already seen in some videos on social media that the panda is a very adorable animal but a bit clumsy. And it's because the cubs are so tiny and the mothers are so big that many times they end up killing them by accident, either because they want to play or simply because they fall on them. It's something sad, but it's literally part of their nature. Anyway, we've already covered a good distance. Throughout this entire place, you can find several signs for different spots where you can go see pandas. Although here in China, people commonly say that you don't come to this reserve to see pandas, but rather to see people. Max is doing a little research on the way to see the pandas because so far we haven't seen any. And what did you find, Mitzi?
In this case, I found that pandas can eat up to 38 kilos of bamboo and their diet is made up of 99% of that plant. How is it possible that they can chew it since it's so tough? They use it as scaffolding here in China, just imagine. Another thing is that baby pandas only weigh 100 grams when they're born, and unlike other bears, pandas don't hibernate. Because apparently the bamboo diet doesn't give them enough energy to spend the whole winter lying around, so they have to keep eating bamboo. No wonder they eat all day.
These are the different facilities I was telling you about. We have several villas, and we also have one called the Giant Panda Sunshine Nursery, which I think is temporarily closed. It's a shame, I wanted to see baby pandas, but anyway, I think we've arrived at our first villa, as they call it. There are pandas here. It's just that these grounds are huge. The pandas could be way back there in the forest or somewhere else. They are there, but we can't see them. That's why they have the different villas, so you have various locations in this huge area where the pandas might be. Look, there is a panda, but it's kind of in the back. It's sleeping. Honestly, it's not very active. I don't know if it's nap time for it right now. Let's go to another villa and see if we have better luck. A fun fact about this reserve is that each panda has its own name. They put a plaque here with the type of personality it has, whether it likes eating more, sleeping, its mom, its dad, what were their names. And by the way, another animal you can come see here is the red panda. They also have several enclosures for this species, and you're probably wondering why the red panda is called a red panda. It's not even a bear. It has nothing to do with the giant panda. They're not related. They're not from the same taxonomic family or anything. In fact, the red panda is more closely related to raccoons. We're about to go see them now. Like I told you, here they say people come to see people, not pandas, and this is the best indicator of where the animal actually is. Wherever you see people is where you'll see pandas. If there are no people, there are no pandas. Now it really looks like we've arrived at a place where we can see pandas. On this side they have little pandas, and on this side they have pandas that are a bit older. They're really cute. And yes, seeing pandas in real life is just like watching those videos on social media where they're rolling around and sprawled out. That's exactly how pandas are. If they have any difficulty moving or they get tired or something like that, you can pay for the bus that takes you all around the park and you can use it all day long. It's not that you pay per ride, but you pay for the whole day and you can get on as many times as you want. I understand, because I know this isn't the only place you'll visit if you come to Chengdu, and you'll probably be very tired. How cute! He's grooming his little friend like he's trying to wake him up to see if they can play for a second, because that's all they can play. This animal is eating all day because moving around also uses up a lot of energy. Are those moments when they're rolling around less frequent than you think? Besides pandas, there are also places where you can have fun or get something to eat. For example, here we have a tea shop, and from what I saw, there's also a lake with swans. They really set things up nicely here, didn't they? Wow! Look, this is the restaurant where we're going to eat, the Magical Panda restaurant. The theme of this restaurant, of course, has to do with bamboo. Another thing that excites me about coming to Chengdu is the food. Among all the food in China, Sichuan cuisine, which is the food from the province we're in right now, is probably our favorite, spicy and delicious. This time we have a more varied selection of food. We have beef with tomato, beef with peppers, chopped meat or vegetables that you can mix with buns, and a few shrimp. And that is probably something like orange chicken. Let's try this little piece of meat here. Is it good? Here we have, of course, the little informal souvenir stands. You have everything from panda-shaped backpacks, keychains to take home to your family, little red panda plushies, regular panda plushies, even bobblehead dolls. Honestly, it's super varied, and you can even buy this kind of vest and wear it right away. It's not my style, but it's not a bad idea either. I think it's kind of cool. Now we're arriving at the Yauhua Temple, another one of Chengdu's major tourist destinations, and it's highly recommended if you want to soak up the local architecture, culture, and history. As you can see, we have some classic Chinese buildings here, and what I don't understand is why they have these scrolls here. Honestly, it would be very difficult for me to read them, and I'm definitely not an expert in Mandarin Chinese, I assure you. What they did tell us is that this turtle or dragon, or I'm not sure what kind of creature it is, you have to touch it because it brings good luck. No one is denied that. Touch it if you see it. Don't miss out on the good luck of touching this statue. Let's keep moving forward, because this temple complex covers no less than 15 hectares, which makes it one of the most important and largest temples in Sichuan province. It's a stupa. Look, they're restoring it on the outside, but we can see inside the golden statue that's there. This golden figure we have here, this great man is none other than Liu Bei, as it says there. He was, in the era of the Three Kingdoms, the person who founded and led the kingdom whose capital was located in Chengdu, which is the city we're in now. If you don't know anything about this historical period of the Three Kingdoms, don't worry, I didn't know either, but now I can tell you about it. The Three Kingdoms was a very turbulent historical period in China, during which the territory was divided into three. And the rulers of each of these kingdoms were constantly fighting and battling to gain control of the country. Because of its importance, it has been featured in novels such as Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is one of the 4 great classical novels of the country. And to this day, there are also video games, movies, and works based on this very important historical period. These places in China, which are called temples, are not like what we would think of as a temple, at least in our countries. Let's say that in Mexico, a temple could be a church, right? But usually it's made up of just one building. In China, a temple can be a very, very large complex with several structures. And each structure is dedicated to a different ruler, to an important person from the city. They don't necessarily have to be saints or deities, they can simply be dedicated to very important historical figures from this country. And if you think about it, in Imperial China, the emperor was considered the son of the god of heaven, so it was like having a deity on earth. And one of the things I like most about these kinds of places, the temples, the Chinese gardens, is that you can take a nice walk, enjoy the good weather, for example, at this time of year, admire the buildings and learn a little bit about the history. Like I was saying, it's really a very pleasant and relaxing atmosphere and a nice way to get to know this country. But I find it curious how in China, a temple is also kind of like a shopping center, isn't it? Here they have the building dedicated to the important person, and these 2 places are for you to light your incense, your offering, and so on. And back there we have a tea shop, access to the old street, vending machines, and souvenir shops. It has everything, thank you. Wow, well, I don't know if these buildings were built to make the cafe where we're going to have coffee, but it's really cool. It's inside the temple. Also, just look at this. This beauty they just brought us. It's a panda, and believe it or not, it's edible, but it's so adorable that it shouldn't even be in that category anymore. I admitted it, you do it, sacrifice it. Oh, it has
jam. It's really good.
We're going to share it. It's the last one left, and I'm not surprised because it's really pretty. Our original plan was to stay in downtown Chengdu, but we finally decided to join a tour and visit places farther outside the capital of the province, which, as you know, is what interests us the most. And that's why we are now 5 hours away from the city. Yes, 5 hours to visit other important places from the Three Kingdoms period. Back then, Liu Bei, the founder of the Shu Kingdom, whose capital was Chengdu, ordered the construction of a series of roads whose routes covered more than 1,000 kilometers and connected Chengdu with important cities like Xi'an, passing through places like the ancient town of Qingxi, which is where we are right now. Qingxi was a very important place because of its abundance of fertile land, but also for its culture and spirituality. This city isn't actually as far from Chengdu as it might seem, but the Sichuan province has very mountainous terrain, and that's why it took us so many hours to get here. This town has become very popular because of its picturesque appearance and its natural surroundings. Home to the giant panda and the Sichuan forest antelope, this town played an important role in the Tea Horse Road. Chamagudao, in Chinese, was one of the most important trade networks in ancient China and connected the southwest of the country.
Principalmente las provincias de
Sichuan, Yunnan, and Tibet. On this road, Qingxi served as a place for rest and supplies, but just 2 hours from Qingxi is the town of Guanyin Jianggu. It's part of the same route I was telling you about and where we are right now. In this place is the ancient Jianmen Pass, and for those who don't know who pass is, I didn't know either. It's a section of this kind of route that is narrow or mountainous and is hard to access. In this pass is the famous Jianmen Gate, which used to control the traffic on this section. Just letting you know. This place has become even more popular in recent years on social media because it has a road like the one we did in Huashan, where you walk along the edge of a very high mountain cliff. In this case, we won't be able to do it because, as you can see, it's cloudy and it's also raining. It's raining. I'm tired. But I want you to know that whether it thunders, rains, or there's lightning, I'm going to take you on a tour. All kinds of people come here. It's full of kids. It looks like there are a lot of school trips. Ni hao. They love to speak English. Welcome to this new section, which we will call Pieces of Technology Located in Very Random Places in China. We are in a very famous forest located near the city of Chengdu, and this forest is known for two things. It has 10,000 cypress trees that are up to 2,000 years old, and the other thing is that it is located in a mountainous area where it was built. An ancient pass that greatly helped the trade in various products, commercial development. But what is the piece of technology we're talking about? We're referring to none other than this little coffee machine. I think it's one of those things you never expect to find in the middle of a forest, but, well, why not make use of it?
Technology is everywhere in China, even here where the trees are 2,300 years old and my coffee is ready.
This might sound a little strange to you, but what we just saw wasn't a wedding, it wasn't the initiation of any emperor or political leader, but rather it was the completion of the counting and auditing of the trees in this area. And during the Qin and Qin dynasties, more than 10,000 cypresses were planted. And throughout China's history, in different periods, the cypress has been considered a symbol of strength, resilience, and a witness to historical events and wars. In fact, this sculpture we have here is a sculpture of General Zhang Fei, who in China is a symbol of discipline, war, and victory. And this person, besides being very skilled in the art of war, when he was the mayor or leader of this area of the Shu Kingdom, took great care of the cypresses, not only counting them, but also cataloging them, measuring them, and analyzing them. And that's why today the trees in this area are called Zhang Fei's cypresses, in honor of this person who took care of them for such a long time. Look at the trunks. They're extremely thick, and that's because many of these have been planted here for more than 2,000 years. Just imagine what these trees could tell if they could talk. But anyway, now we have a modern way of cataloging. They put a plaque here with a serial number and a QR code. It shows you all the information specifically about the tree whose QR code you scanned. And I just realized that, for example, this one is 1,600 years old. This is the oldest tree in this whole place. And they say you have to touch it because it gives you life, prosperity, and good energy. And that means you're going to live a very, very long life. So if you're ever here, don't hesitate to touch it. It's for good luck. But continuing with this tour, we're right here at the entrance to Jianmen Pass. Nowadays, they've turned it into a tourist park to make it more attractive for visitors. You can find all the services here, and this part of China's history and the areas that were involved in it can be promoted. Here we have the map of the walk we're about to take. We're at this point right here. We're gonna go over here, which is where the gate was that served as traffic control for this route. This fortress behind me is basically the gateway to another country. As I mentioned before, there was a time in China when there were 3 kingdoms. Right now, we're visiting several important places in the Shu Kingdom, which traced its lineage to the Han Dynasty. And basically this gate here was the passage to another country. This was like the border. It was the most important fortress of the kingdom because Sichuan, which made up most of the Shu kingdom, is completely surrounded by mountains. But in the middle it's completely flat, so if they couldn't stop the invasion of another kingdom from this gate, not only would they be trapped with the enemy among so many mountains, but they also wouldn't have many places to hide. If we were in ancient times, we would basically be crossing into another country. Look at what a spectacular view this is. Because today, since it's raining and there's fog, we get to see the different colors of the trees. I can hear the river below from here flowing along. There's no doubt that the people who guarded this gate had an amazing view. Once they crossed this gate, they were already in the Qin kingdom, whose capital was Xi'an. The time has come to talk specifically about a topic that fascinates me, and that's Sichuan cuisine. Delicious! This time we're experiencing something I've never had before, which is a tofu feast. That's right, this feast focuses on dishes made with tofu. Some are mixed with meat, with fish, but I'm going to tell you how they're prepared and what they taste like. This one here is one of my favorite dishes in all of China, and it's called mapo tofu or mala tofu. The name changes depending on whether it has meat or not. And just as it's so red, it's supposed to be spicy. I handle it pretty well because in Mexico we eat a lot of spicy food. And that's why Max and I love the food from this province. Among them are hot pot, mapo tofu, and suji. Also, it's not just any kind of spicy, but the characteristic spiciness of this area of China is the numbing heat known as mala. It's my favorite. The Chinese love to base the names of their dishes on stories or legends from the country. This one here is like the exploding mountain tofu. And I didn't really understand what it's about, but it has to do with the place we visited earlier and how the mountains protect the Sichuan area. Pretty interesting, but what's going to be even more interesting is seeing what it tastes like. Let's grab a little bit. A good bite of tofu. Just look at that sauce. Tofu is a food that can have many textures. It can be firmer or softer. In the case of this tofu, the texture is quite firm, but I don't know how spicy it is, so let's try it. It's good, salty, not spicy. Sometimes the red color of Chinese food can be deceiving. This one is much less spicy than the mala I had a while ago. It drips, besides the tofu oils. Be careful with your clothes because if you get even a little on them, you'll never get the stain out. You always have to eat Chinese food carefully. Delicious. Let's try one last tofu, which is this one called Lao Lao Ma tofu. This one is much softer and I don't know what it's seasoned with, but the word old makes it sound like it might be fermented. Let's see what it tastes like. It seems like they just grilled it. It's very natural, but it's good for cleansing the palate a bit because everything else is very seasoned. It's good. We're arriving at our next location, which is none other than the ancient town of Yauhua, located just over 18 kilometers from the Jianmen Pass and the Jianmen Gate that we saw earlier in this same video. This afternoon, we'll take a train back to Chengdu to fly tomorrow to our home in Shenzhen and get ready for our trip to Mexico. But before that, I wanted to come and explore this place, which is still part of the roots of the Shu Kingdom. Precisely because of its proximity to the Jianmen Pass and Gate, which led to another kingdom, this town became a very important military town. It's curious because if there had been a great war here, everything around us would have been destroyed. However, the town of Yauhua is very famous for preserving its traditional architecture very well, which dates back 2,000 years. And just look at what I have around me. Even though we're on a tourist street, you can also tell which elements are original and which aren't. Look at the rooftops. They weren't put up just yesterday. Throughout these 88 days and the 5 years we've lived here in China, we've seen so many ancient towns. And I have to say that for both Max and me, sometimes it's hard to tell you why you should go to this place instead of an ancient town in Beijing or Yunnan or the city you're visiting, because honestly, they're everywhere. But in this case, it's different. And the journey we've taken over the past few days through different towns located at strategic points along the routes of the Kingdom of Shu has made me immerse myself more in the history of this country, which I didn't know at all. It's just not the same when someone tells you that China was made up of different countries as it is to stand at the Jianmen Gate and realize that on one side of the gate there was one kingdom and on the other side there was another kingdom. Besides that, learning that one of the most important roads of the time, which was the Golden Ox Road, reached all the way to Xi'an. It helped me connect the importance of both kingdoms and the role it still plays in history today. Going to visit a place like the Terracotta Warriors, which is the mausoleum of the person credited with unifying this country. But anyway, I feel like I've already talked your ear off. Even Zimi is saying, how long has this woman been talking? What could she be saying? And talking about the history of China is really complicated. Isn't that right, Simi? Simi?
I was trying to understand the history of the three kingdoms, but there are so many different names for us to remember.
And every place we go has an extremely important meaning that we try to explain in the video for you, but it's hard for us to fit all this information into a 20-minute video. Exactly. Couldn't have said it better. And when we explain all this to you, we read and read and read, and we're constantly thinking, how can I summarize this so my audience doesn't get bored but still give you the best and most important information? Well, that's the work we've been doing these days, and it's been very complicated for us, but I already gave up and I fell for good food. Ha! It's really good. Crunchy, tastes like sunflower seeds. So many kids. Do you go to school? Study tour outside? 12. Have fun. Bye, kids. Bye. I read that in this town there are many Buddhist and Taoist temples, and that their traditions and festivals are deeply rooted in these spiritual beliefs. So when we find a temple, we'll see if we can go inside and I'll show you what they're like. Now that we were walking around this town, I was wondering why there are always these kinds of arches in Chinese towns like the one behind me and what they mean. And according to what I found on the internet, these kinds of arches are called pailu. It means something like black building. And they are architectural structures that are usually used for ceremonies or to commemorate an event to honor a person who made a great contribution to this town. For example, a family that donated money for the construction of something. Or in the case of the place where we are, I think that many of these could be related to the military who protected this area. And another beautiful thing I found is that many of these are dedicated to women who stood out for their great virtue or to families who greatly promoted education. I think it's something very beautiful to put here because it's also a monument that preserves both the good contributions of the people and the cultural heritage of this area of China. In this kind of towns, the most authentic things are not always in plain sight. And the thing is, we like to go into these kinds of alleys here, which are some of the narrowest ones around, and that's where people live. Let's hope they don't kick us out. This is the real China. This must be like the communal courtyard. And the thing is, in China, people often live in communities where they have shared kitchens and shared areas that maybe you would have just for yourself at home. Just so you have an idea, this is how people live in these kinds of places. I think you can't really see anything, but there's the little bed which also has a backrest, so it works as a sofa. You can tell it's a very simple environment, but it's very clean, it's tidy, it's well organized, and it has some little plants. I just came across a very interesting view of this town. This here is the entrance to the Confucian temple of Yauhua. And the thing is, Confucian temples are very important temples dedicated to honoring the teachings of Confucius and education in this country. And this is where, in imperial times, the official examinations of Confucian knowledge were held. All these values and all this philosophy came from the teachings of Confucius, who was a great philosopher. Chinese society, its traditions, and many cultural aspects are governed by the teachings left behind by this philosopher, Confucius. For example, you will see that Chinese people work very, very hard at studying. And that's because Confucius is considered the person who gave importance to education in Chinese society since ancient times. Nowadays, these temples are also very important places because this is where people come to pray and ask for help, for example, when they are about to face a big exam. For example, the Gaokao, which is the entrance exam for Chinese universities, and for them, in a few words, defines your life, defines your future, your whole life. The success you're going to have depends on this exam. Right now, we won't be able to go in because we don't have much time left. We're going to eat and then head to the train station. But the other things I wanted to show you are these bells here, which really reminded me of the ones we found in the temples of Shangri-La. It's just that, if you notice, these don't spin, they move from side to side. Unlike the Tibetan bells, these were used as musical instruments in ceremonies in the past, and they say these bells only have 2 notes. But anyway, the third interesting thing is that here we have a smoking booth. All you have to do is come in here and they even have a lighter for you. It's so you can put out your cigarette and throw it away instead of tossing it out on the street. They also have a TV to entertain you while you enjoy your habit. We just arrived at the train station in Guangyuan, the city we're in, and where Yauhua County is located, along with the old little town we were in before. I didn't know this place was so big. I thought we were more in the middle of nowhere, but it turns out we're not. This is a real city. But anyway, let's not waste any time. Let's enter the train station since we're running late. Thank you. Welcome back to Chengdu. I'm so glad it's not so cold here. Over there with the cold and the rain, we just wanted to be like little chicks snuggling under the blankets. That damn cold is really crazy, you just can't get rid of it no matter what. And I'm even wearing the same jacket I used in Dongbei where it was minus 30 degrees. That's the jacket I'm wearing here and I was still cold. But anyway, now that we're back in the city, we still have a little time left and there are a couple of places I want to show you. In case you decide to visit it on your trip to China, which I think is very likely because Chengdu is one of the most popular destinations on any trip to China. And can you believe that the same 5-hour trip we took the other day by bus only took us 1 hour by train? Take trains in China, it's the best method of long-distance transportation. If the trip is no more than 7 hours, we always take it. If it's more than 7 hours, then we prefer to take a plane. What a crazy mall screen. Have you seen this thing? Look at the shape, it's like they melted it. As if the screen on the first floor of the building wasn't enough, just look at what we have here. We're on the roof and they have a ton of outdoor attractions. Diego just found out you can stand on the glass. Would you dare try it? Look at the view around us. And of course, since we're in the city of Chengdu, home of the red panda and the giant panda, here's a big sculpture of the red panda. I don't know how tall this is, it's huge. Wow, just look at this crazy fountain. This is definitely, if not the most amazing fountain I've ever seen in my life, one of the most amazing. The concept is super creative. It totally fits the theme of the city, and I love how it changes color. Look at the effects it creates with the water. It looks like a rainbow is dripping from a bamboo. I'm going to get closer, but it's hard because the fountain water splashes everywhere. This is one of the perfect examples for those expectation versus reality comparisons. And the thing is, you see the fountain looks really pretty, but it's super hard to take a photo or a video because you're getting wet all the time, your camera gets wet. So you have to try multiple times, and I definitely didn't get it right. Just look, I thought it had turned out really nice, and there I am. Running with the wet camera, you can't see anything, not even the fountain. It looked better from here, from where I am. Just look at this girl who ended up completely soaked. Not great. There goes this girl too, who's about to get wet. Just look at Simi, she's completely soaked. Anyway, that's it for today's video. It's been a long journey over many days. We're very tired, but really happy to have made it this far. It's definitely worth coming to Chengdu, of course it is. And all the ancient towns we visited this week as well. But anyway, we'll probably be traveling to Mexico in the next video, finally, if everything goes well. So stay tuned because it's going to be awesome.